Okay, I'm doing this video more so for garden tractor boy than anything else, but I'm going to show some details on here. I can't say I know a whole lot about this other than I've used it in the past, and I mistook this one for another one I used to have. It was made by a brand named Kemp, K-E-M-P, and I've forgotten the details on this one. It's been so long, but I looked up some old pictures on this yesterday, and I found the original stickers, and I found out this happens to be a Mighty Mac shredder, chipper, mulcher, I think it's called. And Garden Tractor Boy told me that this might work with the Bolins, and I'm not seeing that. Now, I'm not doubting that at all. I just did not know that, and I don't see how that works. But I'm going to do a video on this and show the details of what I know about this thing. Very little is what, to be honest. So I did have a 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton there with a side shaft. There's a 5 horsepower, and then the pulley and the belt. Those are the only things that are missing right now. Now I have those things, but I don't use this machine anymore, so I took the motor off. But I'll just get some dimensions here. Maybe that will help to figure this thing out a little bit. But I've got the base plate for the motor mount is 9 inches by 18.5 inches, and then it has the holes for the motor mount there. Then the handle, this pushes like a wheelbarrow. The handle is mounted these 2 bolts here, and then to the frame here on what I would call the motor mount. Then the motor mount has this steel support that supports this bottom edge, and I'm going to flip this up just for the sake. Okay, so it's pretty standard stuff. It's a 1 inch, it's a 1 1/4 inch by 3/16 steel bar that's just bent on the corners there, and then it's welded up here nicely. The guard for the belt mounts on the same bolt. This bolt goes all the way through. I'm sorry, no. This bolt holds the guard and the handle on, and then this is just the handle. So this is kind of a side view. You can see the 4L pulley in there. Looks to be about a 4-inch pulley. Okay, then, so here's a sticker that showed where it was sold from, which I don't believe these still exist. I don't think they still exist today, but that was the original dealer on here. So, let's get some more details underneath. So the back wheels mount via 4 bolts. 2 bolts here, then this is welded to what looks like to be possibly, it could be 1/2 inch, 5/8 axle, and these are solid rubber wheels on the side held on by a cotter pin, and that goes both ways. This doesn't look like it's very strong, but it actually is. There's no play or movement or bending in it. So that's pretty much the bottom details of this thing. And then I'm going to tip it back up. So what I've done, just for demonstration purposes here, this pin goes through the whole body and then pins on the other side. So this is the hatch where everything is basically supposed to come out. I would call it the safety hatch more so than anything, but this piece of metal here when I push it back up here, this pin goes through to hold that in place. You pull this pin and you pull this down and you can get a clog out. Or you can leave that pin and you can pull this bottom pin and that gets clogs or whatever out. So basically you can take this piece off via 2 long pins. So I took the top one off just to show some details. So looking inside there, I'm pretty sure that my Kemp one had chains on it. This this has a series of steel plates on it. So you can see better from here. There are plates that spin around. There are four of these sections like this that spin around, and they just are 3/16 metal plates. They're 1 1/4 by 3/16, and they just spin around and they all have a hole in them. So this whole unit spins around really fast, and these things that are free spinning, they just basically pulverize everything. And I can't say that I necessarily like this one too much, only because for me it required a lot of manual labor where you have to regulate how you feed this brush in here. There's a lot of manual labor to stand here and feed it, and I would say it's susceptible to clogs, and it's also very limited to how big of a branch you can put in there. I would not put like a 2-inch round branch in here expecting this thing to cut it up into mulch. This is more for like small sticks and leaves and like small branches. I wouldn't put like any kind of log at all in here to try to chip it up, because it doesn't work that way. And I'll show my other chipper that I feel like is much better than that. But so this has a series of metal, I call these the blades, but they're really just metal pieces with holes in them. So I assume that because there's a hole on both sides of those plates, you can take these plates off and remount them in reverse or something. I'm not sure, but they have holes on both sides. I guess that's just for if you want to change them to backwards. So this is a spinning, nice free spinning unit. It's got a 1-inch axle on it, then it's got bearings on the 2 sides there. And like I say, this pin goes through there. Get my fingers caught up there. And holds this into place right there. And then you can see the blades through the inside of there. And then basically everything just dumps out the back here, and you're left with a pile of mulch around that axle. I haven't used this one in a long time, and it's mostly because of practicality. So what's the deal on that? I mean, I'll get some more measurements because I don't know how this mounts to a tractor, but this top is 11. This width here is 9 1/4. The overall length of the machine, I'm not really sure that that matters, but I still don't see how it mounts to a tractor. I'm not doubting it, but I just don't see how it happened yet. But so it's about 40 inches long, about 9 inches wide here, about 9 1/4 there. This top hinge thing that kind of limits what you can put there and how much you can put in there. I don't think that there was any other thing that goes on the top here. There may have been something that mounts here because there's 3 holes that I don't know about, but this just hinges over and lays like that. So that's pretty much the extent of that. It's got the handlebars. Like I said, it really moves around like a wheelbarrow. So I did use this at one time. It's been a long time, but I never really liked this cutting system, and it may have been great for its time, but what works better for me, less manual labor. I'm going to show my other one that I have bought since then, and that's typical for me. Is a lot of these things that I have are things that I've used, and then I've upgraded at some point. So I might have used these things for 10 years or whatever, and then I found a better option later on when I had more money or I had more resources or whatever. I would upgrade them. So I had that for quite a while and used it quite a while, but I don't remember a whole lot about using it. All I know was, I mean, it had a 5 horsepower Briggs that was really reliable. It would work as far as starting and running and things like that, but the practical use of it for me was not great because you had to stand there and monitor everything that went in there. It was susceptible to clogging. Maybe the way I was using it was wrong, but let me go over here and show you the upgrade that I got that works better for me, and I'll show some details on that. So this is a 5 horsepower chipper shredder vacuum. So for me, the fact that this vacuums up leaves, shreds them, then has a bagger on the back was more practical for me. It'll do any kind of lawn clippings or anything like that. It's got a 6-speed transmission on it, 5 horsepower engine. I believe it's a Tecumseh. I could be wrong about that. I believe it's a Tecumseh. But I can get this running, and yeah, it is a Tecumseh. You can see right there. I can get this carb running, but it doesn't want to stay running. And it's got 1, 2, 3. It's got 3 detents for different choke levels. I just need to get in and do something with this carburetor because it will run, but it won't stay running by itself. So I've got some issues with that. So my point in showing this one really is the difference between this one and that one. So with this one being automatic, it's self-propelled. It's got a transmission back in the back here and a lever to shift. There's an access plate here. But the reason why this works so much better for me is it does more of the work by itself, and it self-feeds better for my personal use. So the way that this is set up, it has a big flywheel inside of here, and you can access that from the side, of course, if you have clogs. There's a big flywheel in here, and on that flywheel there's one blade that spins around. Once every revolution, that blade spins around. But where there isn't a blade, the rest of the flywheel is smooth. So I can put, I think up to 2-inch branch up in here, I think it is. I think it might have said 4 actually, but I think it's 2 or 3, I could be wrong, but there's a capacity of what you can put in here. So at the very bottom of the chute, it hits against a smooth flywheel down there, and then once every revolution that this spins around, a blade comes by. Well, that helps me so much with the self-feeding. So I can put a piece in here and it will kind of pull itself into the machine slowly. As that blade goes by one time, it'll chip pieces off, and then the rest of the branch will just hit that smooth flywheel and stay there until the blade passes by it again. This is way more practical for me, and I feel like it does a better job on cutting more like a branch. I wouldn't say that you're limited to small stuff here. In fact, I feel like the Mighty Mac is better for the small stuff, and this is better for more like limbs. The chute's kind of narrow compared to the Mighty Mac. And then this folds down to safety, of course, but There's a rubber piece here for safety. But this one, yeah, so this one's way more practical for me. It's easier to move around. Like I said, it's self-propelled. So I prefer this one, and to be honest, the Mighty Mac isn't, I'm probably not going to have that much longer. Probably going to get rid of that. Now, if I find out that it does mount to a tractor, and I find out how, I might do that, but that's not likely anytime soon. So here's the, here's the Mighty Mac. Like I said, I thought this was my Kent, but I got rid of that some time ago. So this is the extent of it. I feel like I've pretty much gone over all of the details. Not really much else. It's a pretty simple machine. Spins freely. It's really, it'd be really easy to get this thing going. You put a motor and a pulley on it and a belt, and it's ready to go. So alright, I'm going to sign out for this video. Until the next one, I'm out.